Blog Talk Radio.
Y'all ready for this?
So we're gonna have Holly next in the huddle. That's our third huddle for today, and before we get out of hand here, we'll just go back to being a little formal.
I know, sorry, Holly.
Holly Custis. And Holly actually filled in for the two of you on the week that you guys were gone, so she did a wonderful job.
Holly.
So
woohoo!
let's bring her in. Holly Custis of Seattle Majestics. And so Holly, how's it going today?
Hey, Holly, how are you?
Pretty good. How are you doing?
Okay, so I'm not going to lie. It has been a very long day because we're in the middle of school testing. So we have, So little people are up extra early. So right now I'm on my schedule is extended. So if I'm a little silly right now, it's that end of the day. I'm winding down.
That's okay. I can totally relate to that. I understand.
What's going on, LB?
Holly, this is you've been listening the last couple minutes here. We're not that formal. It's kind of like a bar scene now, but we're not drinking yet.
I know, right? And I
Gridiron Beauties
got to get
after
up.
hours.
No, because remember, one of us has to get up early because we have testing, so I have to make sure that everybody's out the house with what is the list that they send you with? Make sure that everybody's up early, well rested, and that they're fed before they come to school. Because my kids normally eat breakfast at school, as I've paid for it, but they're like, no, everybody's got to be fed at home and up, and so mommy doesn't get to have anything tonight.
So, Holly, Seattle, Everett, pretty nice broadcast on YouTube. I think everybody was shocked at how well of a broadcast that was. And the replay is even better. And then just recently, a couple hours ago, we did the highlight reel came out. So it's a pretty cool highlight reel. So tell us a little bit about being a part of that.
Well, I mean, obviously, coming off my injury, I would have rather have been on the field. But I mean, other than that, it was a really good showing for our first game. So our team, we had kind of a rough week. A couple of weeks ago when I went down, our starting quarterback went down, our starting center went down, all within a week of each other. And all three of us are captains, so that was, a lot to deal with for a team. But I'm very proud of how everybody, stepped up, and we kind of moved people around a little bit, and there were some really, awesome things that happened during that game that I was very proud of. I mean, obviously in the first game, there's always stuff that you can work on and that you can take away to try to get better. But on the other hand, it was really nice to watch some of my friends and teammates develop as players and make plays. And I'm not sure, I think this Saturday I'm going to take a pedometer with me or a Fitbit or something, because I might have been on crutches, but I think I probably had crutched around 3 or 4 miles, because I was up and down the sideline trying to find my teammates to encourage them and going in and out of the locker room. By the end of the day, my arms were about dead.
Yeah, that's all I want to ask you, how was it? So, with you being injured, I know it's frustrating because I know you want to be out in the field, being the LB, roaming, going sideline to sideline and knocking people down, man. But how has your leadership, how have you had to refocus your leadership, rather, with your injury, being what it is now?
Well, I mean, so my injury happened now about a month ago, and I had surgery 3.5 weeks ago now. And so for the first couple of weeks, I couldn't really go to practice because I just wasn't mobile enough. But now, I've gradually started to go to more and more events. And what I've tried to do is just be there for people to talk to. And so In my spot at Mike linebacker, we moved one of our defensive linemen back, Kayla Crocious, and she's done a really wonderful job. She spent years on the line, though, so it's a different perspective at linebacker. So I've been, just, kind of in her ear talking with her, trying to tell her, look at this and here's how you direct and answering any questions that she has, just to be a support system for her, because she's fully capable of doing it. It's just a whole other position, and it's kind of a crash course, learning curve of being in a different spot. And we've also had other linebackers that have really stepped up. I know I heard you guys had Rebecca on the line last week, and she was talking about one of our rookies, April, and she's really stepped up. And it was cool because during the first couple of weeks that she was at practice, I usually have a fairly good gut feeling about players and what they're going to be like, and I thought, this girl is going to be a linebacker. And then when I saw her in the game, I was totally justified because she's in love with being like a linebacker. You could see in her eyes that sight that it's kind of like a shark being in water with like a scenting blood basically. Like she had that in her eyes, and then she made a couple plays early and was very, very excited. Kind of similar to what I get like, and I was like, yeah, like, this is it. She has found her home.
Hey, Holly, do you want to give it the legal term, assault? She just basically figured out she got a free ride to an assault.
It's legal assault. I guess that's basically what it is. But when I was in the game, I just tried to be there for people. So as people were coming off the sideline, like I'd crutch over to them and, tell them, what I saw, and if I could help them, I'd try to tell them little tips. And if they did great, I'd be there to, like, be next to them with the crutch and put two hands on the other crutch and give them a slap on the shoulder pads and tell them good job. And I just try to be encouraging because it's weird when you play a game, you have that nervous energy going into the game, and then that goes away when you start playing. I still had the nervous energy even though I wasn't playing, and I had nowhere to put it, so I just put it into all my teammates.
Awesome.
That's great. That's great.
There's, I obviously would rather be on the field, but if I can't, I'm still happy to be there for my team because, in football, your team is basically your second family. So that's kind of what I've been doing is trying to funnel that back into them.
Troy, you got any more?
Yeah, I mean, I just listening to it, I know, like I said, you're chomping at the bit, but watching your fellow teammates to get that taste, it's like it is an addiction. I mean, you line up at linebacker, and you get that first hit in, and you just want more and more and more. So, yeah, we all know that feeling right there. So I definitely applaud that, with your leadership there. So how long are you scheduled to be out?
Well, we're looking at the original diagnosis was a lot worse because before I got the MRI, the orthopedic doctor was saying 2 surgeries, a year and a half, and even then you'll be 80%. Then after the MRI, he said, okay, well, PCL doesn't actually look as bad as we originally thought, so we're going to do this in one take. And the surgery actually went very well to the point where they reconstructed the LCL. The PCL, the big chunk of it was actually fine, and there's a smaller chunk that was partially torn, so they sewed it back together with a graft. And then I have 2 screws, one on the left side and one on the right where I had fractures. So all that being said, for how scary it was, it's going to be, 10, 11 months is the time period. So my goal is kind of in the February range. And he said I should be back actually stronger than before. So even though it was not fun, I'm still hanging on to the fact of like, okay, well, hey, it's been, this is my 10th year, so maybe this will be a chance for me to reset myself. Not taking the normal wear and tear I do during a season might actually be helpful in the long run. So that's kind of my viewpoint.
So you're looking at aggressive rehab right now. So
yeah.
When do you start PT?
Well, right now, because of they also, when they went in to do surgery, when they reattached the PCL, that required some attachment to the hamstring as well. And so because of that, I'm going to be on crutches probably another month or so.
Right.
And so for the first month, I have it's called, I think, a telescope hinge brace, and it basically locks your knee or your leg into a certain degree. So right now I'm locked in at 30 degrees, and then 2 to 3 times a day I can move it to 90, and kind of manually work on bending my knee a little bit. And then my next appointment is in a couple of weeks, and then we'll work on extension. And then after that, then I should be ready for PT. So probably, I'd say now that it's been a month in, probably another month and a half before I start really doing anything much. But I can tell there's a difference. Like, I feel more stable. I'm able to drive again. I can, I'm working. I can put the crutches down and, be stable and not have to worry about falling over or anything. I can feel that the range of motion is slowly coming back. Like, each little thing that happens is like a small victory. And it's weird because the process is long, but still anything that happens good, you're like, yeah, this is exciting. I can move a little bit more.
Right. Absolutely.
But in a way, it's kind of like I had an MCL injury 4 years ago, but MCLs normally heal on their own. So that injury was actually, I think, tough for me because there was so much gray in when I could come back. And this, I know I can't for the season, so I'm just kind of focused on the rehab part. But it's definitely getting better. I can tell that it is. And so in order to combat things, I have invested in a whole bunch of supplements, and I got a Chiro cuff, which is, have you guys seen those before? They're basically like coolers, and you have an attachment that you put around your knee, and so you can ice your knee consistently.
Oh, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah,
it's actually really, it's a very simple item, but it's pretty awesome. So basically you have a cooler that you put full of water and ice, and it has a hose attached to it, and the hose is attached to a sleeve that goes around your knee. And so in order to fill the cuff full of water, you lift up the cooler above it, and you open up this air vent so that the water flows into the cuff and it fills it up full of cold water. So it's basically icing your knee.
You just have to be seated to do this, right, Holly?
Oh, yeah. So I'm laying, like, I have it on right now, actually. I'm laying down. And but then when it gets cold, or when the water starts to get warm, then you drop the cooler below the cuff so it rolls back into the cooler, becomes cold again, and then you can recycle the water, basically.
Oh, how very odd. I'd have to see it. It sounds interesting.
Yeah. One of the things I'm trying to do is my combination of injuries. I tried looking stuff up online. There's nothing out there. Like, my injury has to be pretty rare because I can find books of information on ACLs and MCLs and meniscus tears and, like, people completely blowing every ligament, but there's nothing on my injury. So I'm like, I decided in my blog that I have.
Directly in the back of your knee?
So basically the LCL is a ligament on the outside of your knee. So I completely tore that so hard that I took bone with it. And then so I don't know, I know you guys were gone before. So basically I was running a flood route in practice against air. And so I was running straight, and I was trying to plant off my left foot to go right so I could look inside for the ball. And when I planted, I'm not looking where I'm planting. I'm looking to the right because I'm trying to turn to the right. And my stride, I don't know if I slipped or if I just had an overstride, but my leg was extended and then got stuck in the turf. So that my leg hyperextended to the point where, you know how your knee normally bends down? My shin was starting to bend up towards my leg, the other direction.
Okay,
and
Greg
then,
Theismann. Jesus.
and so I felt it. It felt like lightning. So I was trying to get off of it, and my teammate behind me said I did some sort of ninja roll. So, and she thought that's not part of the route. And so I tried to get off my leg, and then when I did that, the first initial thing tore the LCL and took bone with it, and then the knee shifted the other direction, and the PCL is one of the two. It's basically the partner with the ACL on the back of your knee, and so the top part of it that's attached to my hamstring partially tore too, and also left a divot in my femur. I don't know how I did that. I don't know how I did that.
And this is all self-inflicted, by the way.
Yeah,
know,
there was
right?
no contact.
Well,
That's
you
the
know,
weird
I
part.
can't say anything because I did that with both of my hamstrings. Like, you should have seen me in college. We were doing something, and we were doing something on the track, and because I was a cheerleader, so I was doing my toe touches, beautiful, beautiful toe touches. But somebody, as I was landing, we were doing toe touches to splits, and one of the girls, she either took off too soon or something. So I cheated my landing, and when I landed, I pulled my hamstring. And
Ouch.
So the first season I pulled my right, we were doing something else, and I pulled my left hamstring. So to this day, I still can't do my left split. So when you were talking about hamstrings, all of a sudden both my legs just
start cramping up.
Yes, and they did, and it was awful. And because I literally can still, mentally, in my head, I can still feel how it felt because, you're stuck on the ground and you're in a split on a track and you don't have the luxury of staying down because you don't want some big hulking Troy Oscar football player to come running over on you, and so you're trying to get up and then you've got to get through the rest of the game because you can't play, there's no crying and cheerleading either. So but the rest of it, girl.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. My orthopedic doctor, when I first went in, luckily at the clinic that I went to, apparently by chance I found the best trauma knee surgeon that they have at that hospital, and he was looking at it, and I could see his eyes light up, and he's like, all I do all year are ACLs and meniscus tears, and I only get like 4 or 5 of these a year. And so he was excited because apparently it's like his Super Bowl. And I was like, well, you're welcome. And, but
isn't that awful, though?
It is, but like at the same time, I read like when I went to my last appointment, they printed me off the surgery notes, and it is a book. This man is meticulous, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm glad he's on my side because he does not leave any stone unturned.
Well, apparently he went to school. He's still got to pay. He's got to pay that loan still, so he's got to be thorough.
Exactly. He's got to be thorough.
Well, the ironic part is I'm a huge Oregon Duck, right? Huge Oregon Duck because that's where I went to school. And he is a Husky. He is a Washington Husky. So I owe my knee to a Husky, and I don't know what to do with that.
Yeah, that's almost as bad as somebody. Well, no, I'm not going to tell that. I'm not going to tell that lie, and I refuse to get shut down on social media if I even make this comparison. But I was going to say it could be as bad. I'm going to say, see how I tethered that. Could be as bad as somebody from Ohio State having to get operated on by somebody from Michigan.
It's right about there.
Yeah.
But for me, I don't care where you went to school. If you can get me back on the field,
right.
I'll be a fan of you. Not your team, but you.
Right.
All allegiances aside at that point.
But this does, however, present a unique opportunity. I mean, especially though you're a captain, how much does this now really elevate you in terms of how much you are able to watch and really analyze the play of your teammates, from an objective point of view so that you can really give them good feedback and insight in terms of a new leadership role with the team?
I think I definitely noticed it on Saturday because, being a a captain previously in my career, I mean, I've been able to like give people pointers as I go, but you're right. It's hard when you're actually playing too, because you can only see so much. Like you're only seeing, your viewpoint is who are the people in front of you in the drill or in the play, or because you can't see what's going on other than that because you're playing. And so now from the sideline, I can see more. So that's one of the reasons why I was crutching all over the place. Like I wanted to give people more feedback, and I knew in our especially on defense, our defense runs through that spot. That's who calls the defensive plays. Like that's the quarterback of our defense. And so it's difficult because you have a whole bunch of people in positions that they're not used to. And communication on defense is everything. So I've been trying to work with people on making sure they're on the same page. And then now that I'm more mobile, I'm going to be, going to practice more and more so I can see that and help them with their game plan as far as, obviously the coaches are the coaches. But during the course of practice, you only have so much time to get, information to people. And so sometimes it's nice to have a third party that somebody can be like, oh, well, Coach said this. What is he talking about? And I can be like, okay, what he's saying is this, or look for this. And then that could be kind of a liaison or an option that they can go to in a quick pinch if they don't have the time for to go find the coaches or the coaches are doing something else. And so for me, like I know that it's an opportunity as well for me to learn because I'm very analytical. I'm kind of a football nerd, so I watch film all the time, and now it's an opportunity for me to learn even more, but just from a different perspective, as you said, because I'm used to playing and or watching film.
So, Holly, because you are more intense now, are you going to turn into the Hulk rage and just go off on people because they're not doing their routes right?
No, I'm not I was never an angry. If I'm angry, you really messed up because that's just not my personality type. I might have some what's the word bass to my voice,
aggression?
But it's not like I'm never a yeller. Like what the hell are you doing, person? I'm like, okay, you got this. Here's what you should look for type person. I'm kind of a constructive yeller, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Holly,
so you're nice when
Captain America, Civil War is coming up. Civil War is coming up. What do you think of the film?
I've not had a chance to see it. You said it's coming out soon, isn't it?
Yeah, the trailer. Have you seen the trailers?
Yes, I've seen the trailer. I'm not sure when it comes out because I've been kind of out of the loop a little bit. I've been in the hospital, and so I'm just now coming out to where I feel like more like myself and more back in my normal life. So I've been out of the loop, but I have seen the trailer. I'm excited about it. One of my good friends from Everett actually is going to come down, and we're going to go see it. I just can't remember when it comes out.
It should be soon. This is coming in the next couple of weeks. I saw Superman, Batman, which was really nice.
Was that good?
If you're a comic fan, it was really good. If you're not a comic fan, you probably thought it was probably worse bad film or whatever. But because they blended so many storylines into the film from different aspects of different books that you kind of have to just you realize that happened in this book or that book, especially if you if you know the history and stuff. But Civil War seems kind of, I don't know, for a film, I guess it's, I don't know. Anybody can chime in on this if you guys want, but I'm not a big Marvel fan, but I do think, there's some characters that obviously weren't, like Spider-Man and stuff like that, but.
Well, I'm happy because there's so many different tie-ins to this movie. I mean, number one, you're going to have the tie-in to Third Avengers movie. And then also, you throw Spider-Man in there. So there's going to be the third Spider-Man movie. And then also, kind of a loose affiliation, you got Luke Cage that's going to be in it. And that's the guy that I don't know if any of you guys have been watching not Daredevil, but Jessica Jones on Netflix. And that also kind of ties loosely into Daredevil because both of those are in Hell's Kitchen in New York. Yes, I'm a comic book nerd. I don't apologize for it. And by the way, Civil War is coming out on May 6th.
I think we're all here, nerds.
I have that on my calendar as marked off. It's coming out May 6th. Civil War be there. So, yeah, I'm just looking forward to all the affiliations of how Marvel is kind of tying everything into it. Sort of how Batman and Superman kind of wanted to tie into the Justice League and also the Suicide Squad coming out soon.
The floor is yours, Holly.
Well, I mean, I'm
no
excited
pressure.
to see. What'd you say?
I said no pressure.
Are we still talking about Captain America, or is it open?
No, we're talking Captain America.
Okay. Well, I mean, so when I was growing up, I actually was not as much into comic books. My thing was basketball cards. I drove my mother crazy because I had binders and binders of basketball cards. And whenever I had my allowance, I'd go on my little bike and get, more cards or whatever. I enjoyed comic books, but one of my best friends that I grew up with, he was way more into comic books. But when I was a kid, I really liked Batman. I think my favorite two are Batman and Captain America. The thing about some of these movies, though, that's kind of hard is I love the concepts and I love the characters, but not all of these movies are created equal as far as the plot lines and the acting. So sometimes you go and you're like, yeah, the special effects, and oh my gosh, this is so cool, but then you're like, God, the acting is so bad. Like, why can't they find somebody who can act and be cool?
Yeah, not gonna happen. Not gonna happen. You get one good character out of 5. You probably get 2 out of 5, and the rest of them are kind of like very cheesy.
Yeah.
Holly, well, looking forward to the weekend, April 9th, and we got Tacoma against Seattle, and it's going to be broadcast again. So the fans are going to be able to dive into the matchup again. So what do you think? Tacoma, tough battle here, or what are we looking at?
Well, I mean, last year Tacoma really kind of broke out last year, and I think it's going to be a different sorted test for us. Wherever it is more athletically built, Tacoma has a bit more size, so it will be a good test for us up front. I know that they just beat the new team from Southern Oregon last weekend, and so I'm curious to see what that team looks like as well. So as soon as we see some film from it, I'll be able to kind of analyze it. But it should be a tough matchup because we have so many connections between the two teams. I mean, we've had players from Seattle go over there, players from Tacoma come to us. Some of their coaches used to play with us or play against us, and they know us very well. So there's a lot of connection there, so we are pretty much natural rivals. So it should be fun.
Awesome. So we're running out of time. So at this point, if you're welcome to chime in, like I said before, anytime. So maybe looking forward to next week when we talk about the results of this game and maybe kind of get some insights from Coach Custis on what she sees on the field. That'll be very interesting.
Can I be Coach Crutch?
Why not? Why not? Let's do that. Coach Crutch, right? Why not? Let's do that.
I like it.
I like it. Now, if we get to see you on the broadcast,
works for me.
It's going to be that little dot that's moving left to right, right? A little all the way across left to right.
I had a couple friends that were in the stands, and they were like, "Holly, you need to come down."
I apologize to the audience because we couldn't get the women's recap done, but unfortunately, you can still do everything on Facebook. So you go to facebook.com/Gridiron Beauties, and you can go to the Twitter feed to get the latest updates on the scores. You can go to WFAfootball.com, IWFLsports.com, and get the Week 1 results there as well. And shouts out to the Gridiron Victoria girls out there. You can also go to GridironVictoria.com, and you go to Gridiron Victoria on Facebook and at Gridiron Vic on Twitter. So, Holly, thank you for the time. We're running out of time, unfortunately, but we're always welcome to come in. And next week, if that's the case, we'll recap Tacoma and Seattle and see where we stand there with the Majestics trying to go to 2-0 on the season. And I'm looking forward to the broadcast. Really looking forward to that broadcast. And I think once the link is up there on Seattle Majestic and obviously on our Facebook pages, to everybody take advantage of it. And it's going to be a good matchup. So we will let you go, and we look forward to next week when you recap the Tacoma-Seattle game if you got some time.
Sounds great. Thank you for having me.
Hey,
Holly,
awesome.
we'll catch up next week then.
Thanks, Holly.
You're welcome. Have a good night. Good luck with your testing.
Thank you.
I'll be keeping up with you,
All
Holly.
right, guys.
I'll be checking in on you, Holly.
So we got Holly coming in next week, hopefully, week to week, since she's obviously hanging out and lounging. No, not really. She's actually rehabbing really strong. But what did we say she was going to be? Captain Crutch? So
Captain
Coach Crutch will be back hopefully next week on Tuesday. So that'll be a nice segment to have. Coach Crutch give us insight.